So we are here for the week 6 NFL team schedule and the maps. So we already talked about the simulcast stations and buys and another and the sun in the national games. Let's talk about the CBS single window. So the featured there's the CBS single window. The CBS had the late window 2 weeks in a row. So now it's CBS's turn. Now it's to have the single window for a couple weeks in a row. So we have Washington at Baltimore, which is the featured game of Gymnasium Romo. There is most of the country is not most of the country. Most of the country that's receiving the same window, the West Coast, and most of Kansas, like Denver, like Mountain, and like Pacific time zones, they're receiving pretty much most of those time zones. Most of those two time zones are receiving the late window, which is 4:05 Eastern, 3:05, which is 4:05 Eastern, 3:05 Central, 2:05 Mountain, 1:05 Pacific. But with most of the country, most like the eastern part of the United States, most of the central and eastern parts time zones, most of them are receiving their early window. And for the early window, the featured game is Washington Baltimore, which is the best game is Jimmy Hanson's normal. We have Houston at New England, Cameron and Trent Green. They're considering that's like the third game. However, we have it's most of Texas except for the Dallas area. We have a little bit of New Mexico, a little bit of Oklahoma, tiny little tad of Kansas. Maybe it's an area that gets like a Texas station on like right on the border with, and it goes with like New Mexico, Oklahoma, just a little tad of Kansas, most of Louisiana. Except there's a little tad that gets Washington, Baltimore, and then you got a little bit of Arkansas and Oklahoma. Two that gets like stations like Louisiana, Arkansas, like Texas stations. Then you got the Vermont, Massachusetts, a little bit of New York, Vermont. You got Connecticut, Rhode Island. And you got India, but that's Tennessee Spirit leads at March then. Now this is the lowest game. You have them all. You have Indiana, most of Indiana, some of Illinois, some of Kansas, Missouri, a little bit of Arkansas, some of Alabama and Mississippi, most all Tennessee, a little bit of Virginia and West Virginia. No, not West Virginia, Kentucky, my bad, Kentucky. And then we have Pittsburgh at Las Vegas, which is like when the second game with Inigo Charles Davis, and it's most of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin area that gets that since Green Bay is playing at home, since Green Bay is playing in the early window on Fox, they decided to put Pittsburgh at Las Vegas in late window, and then Ohio, Cleveland area in Ohio, and Columbus, West Virginia, most of Pennsylvania, Tampa Bay area, and the Baton Rouge area. In the Baton Rouge, New Orleans areas, those San Francisco, Sacramento, Fresno, and San Barbara in California. They are showing the Pittsburgh at Las Vegas game, even though they don't have to. I mean, Cleveland doesn't. I mean, I guess Cleveland might want. Philadelphia doesn't, but so neither does like Green Bay in that area, and some of Michigan, like the Green Bay Packers fans are like from Michigan, like most of Wisconsin, they got the Green Bay Packers games on Sundays. They don't have to show it, but they're choosing to show that game because like their team is playing at home on Fox in the early window. And then we have lasting lectures at Denver with Andrew Cannon, Tiki Weber, Jason McCourty. And it's most of the West Coast, as you can see right there. There's a little tiny tad of New Mexico that doesn't get it. Not all of uh, uh, some of Nevada gets that game, which I'm surprised by. Not all of Nevada that gets the Las Vegas Raider games. I'm kind of surprised by that, but and then um you have some of Kansas, a little bit of Nebraska, South Dakota, and most of Wyoming and Montana. So that's basically it. That gets the games. They'll get the early. They'll get that window, CBS single window, on the Fox early and late. Oh, and Alaska and Hawaii are getting the early window, the feature early window game, the national game, with the number one announcers Jim and Cyril at Washington, Baltimore. In the early window, they're getting the feature national game, Alaska and Hawaii, or Arizona at Green Bay, and most of the country's getting Fox early window. Not all of the country, but the West Coast. Not all the West Coast. I mean, most of the Pacific time zone, in the Mountain time zone. Basically, like the south, and like the northeast, east coast, and like northeast in that area. They're not getting the game. There's a Green Bay game, but Cleveland, Philadelphia with Cameron, Jonathan Vilma, that's in New Mexico, a part of Arizona, and Colorado, and like a tiny tad of Oklahoma, and most of Texas, except for the Houston area and some of Oklahoma. It's just those stations that get like Texas stations or like New Mexico stations in Denver and Arizona. And then you got Ohio, a little tiny bit of Michigan that gets to the Ohio station, tiny little bit of most of Ohio, not all of it. There's a tiny little tad of Ohio that gets a Fort Wayne station. You got most of Ohio. You got the Virginia, West Virginia, a little bit of Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maine, up that way. And then you got Tampa Bay, New Orleans with Amamine Gragos. Gragos is number 2 announced crew this year because Tom Brady signed for like 10 years, I think like 300, like 75 million or something. There's some ridiculous amount of season. And he signed with Fox. So they're obviously going to push him and then run out with Super Bowls, all that stuff, push him. And stuff like that. So they decided to do where and then but Greg Olsen was the number 2 feature announcer last week because Joe Davis and Amin were both out for Fox baseball. However, Joe Davis is not back this week for baseball as the league championship series, whether it's National League or the American League, whichever on Fox is showing. That overlap that starts on the day baseball football starts on Sunday, so he cannot do both games. Joe Davis cannot, so or they're just having him do both games either way, even if he could. So, but I mean, they want though the same day they won't have you do both the same game. You might want but Ray Golston now is with This again the Amamine name. Normally, Joe Davis and Ray Golston would be on Arizona at Green Bay. But Kevin Kugler, Daryl Dallas, and that one are getting the promotion. Or maybe it is Joe Davis and Ray Golston again. Tip at Norns, maybe. Normally, who knows? But anyways, we have Tempe Norns with Emmy Ray Golston. Amamine. I'm surprised Amamine isn't going to work cinches. But the reason I think why Amam, but I think the reason why is because Chris Myers is filling in, was Amamine's filling. When Amamine was calling one of the two divisional series on Fox as the play-by-play, and Chris Myers is lower on the totem pole on the bottom, so maybe that's why. We have, but they could have so they obviously want to not give like Jason Benetti another game. Obviously, they don't want. I mean, because he goes college, so they want to give the NFL games. You know what I'm saying. So that could be it too. We have most of Oklahoma, most of Arkansas, Houston area, all Louisiana, um, Massachusetts, or not Massachusetts, Mississippi, a little bit of Tennessee, most of North Carolina, a little bit of West, a little bit tiny little bit of Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, all Florida, all Alabama. And then in the Fox slate window we have Alaska and Hawaii are obviously showing Detroit, Dallas, and that's the feature game. Most of the country is going to see with Canberra Arts Every. That kind of is in the late window, the 4:25 Eastern window, and it's just a tiny little bit. It's a little bit of a tiny little tad of Virginia, most of North Carolina, all of South Carolina, most of Georgia, the Tallahassee area, Tallahassee area in Florida, and not all of Alabama. Most of Alabama, though. Huntsville, Birmingham, and Montgomery areas in Florida. The Mobile, Alabama area does not get it, presumably because it's like getting, probably, more like the Florida station, or it's, I don't know why though. That one though. Maybe Mobile, Alabama. Maybe that area is more of New Orleans, Saints fans. Maybe that could be two. But Night Carnage with Christmas Mercenary is just getting, like I said, most of Alabama, most of Georgia, Tallahassee in Florida, North and South Carolina, all of South Carolina, most of North Carolina, a tiny little tad of Virginia. Yeah, that's getting North Carolina stations are showing the game. And I think the reason NFK, not all of North Carolina is getting the game, is because the NFK station in Virginia near the North Carolina border. It goes into North Carolina, just a tiny tad of North Carolina, and a little bit of some of Tennessee that gets like Georgia, North Carolina, and a little bit of Alabama TV stations.